A calm young woman's voice cut through the screaming alarms and the chaos of the cockpit. "Tower, this is Spectre. I have the aircraft." Outside the windows, two F-22s held formation so close their pilots could see the cracked windshield of the airliner. Before you watch the full story, comment below. Which country are you watching from? And don't forget to subscribe because tomorrow's story might be even bigger. She had been asleep in seat 9C since the plane left Denver. Hoodie pulled low, backpack tucked under the seat in front of her, one earbud dangling uselessly against her collarbone. The flight attendant had already asked twice if she wanted a drink. Both times, the girl only shook her head without opening her eyes. To the rest of the cabin, she was just another quiet passenger trying to sleep through a red-eye. The first officer had walked past her twice on his way to the galley and never once looked down. The captain had joked with the senior flight attendant about the kid who could sleep through a hurricane. Nobody paid her any attention. That was how she preferred it. Somewhere over the Rockies, the memory came without warning. The smell of jet fuel on a cold morning, the weight of a helmet, the instructor's voice saying, "Spectre, you don't get a second chance at this altitude." She pushed it away the way she always did. That life was finished. She was just a passenger now. The first wrong note was so small most people never noticed it. A faint metallic shiver that ran through the floor under her feet, then vanished. She opened her eyes. The cabin lights were steady. The engine still hummed. But the vibration had been wrong. Too sharp. Too high. She closed her eyes again and waited. 10 minutes later, the vibration returned, stronger. The seat frame trembled. A low, uneven growl started in the right engine. Across the aisle, a businessman frowned at his tablet. The flight attendant walking past paused for half a second, then kept moving. Only the girl in 9C sat perfectly still, listening the way she had been trained to listen when something was about to fail. Then the right engine failed completely. A sharp bang rolled through the fuselage. The cabin lights flickered. Oxygen masks dropped in a rattling cascade. The airplane yawed hard to the right. People screamed. The captain's voice came over the speakers, tight and controlled at first. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have experienced an engine failure. Please remain seated and follow the instructions of the cabin crew." The left engine was still running, but the airplane was fighting him. Altitude started bleeding away. Warning horns blared in the cockpit. The first officer's voice, thin with adrenaline, could be heard through the open cockpit door. "We're losing hydraulic pressure on the right side. Controls are getting heavy." The captain's next transmission was louder, less steady. "Any pilots on board, any military or commercial pilots, please identify yourselves to the cabin crew immediately." She sat frozen in 9C, backpack still under the seat, hoodie still up. For 3 long seconds she did not move. Then she stood. A flight attendant blocked her in the aisle. "Miss, you need to sit down." "I need to speak to the captain." "Ma'am, this is not the time." "Tell him Spectre is on board." The flight attendant stared at her like she had spoken another language. The first officer appeared in the doorway, face pale. "What's going on back here?" The girl looked past him into the cockpit. "Captain, your right hydraulic system is cascading. You're about to lose the ailerons on that side. I can fly this airplane." The first officer actually laughed once, short and disbelieving. "Lady, sit down." She didn't raise her voice. She simply listed the exact hydraulic quantity remaining, the rate of loss, and the precise control surface that would fail next. The numbers were so specific the first officer's face changed. The captain turned in his seat and looked at her for the first time. "Who the hell are you?" She pulled the hoodie back. "Call sign Spectre, former F-22. I need the left seat." They still didn't believe her until she recited the emergency checklist for a dual hydraulic failure on a 737 faster than the first officer could find it in the QRH. The captain stared at her for 1 more second, then unstrapped and stood up. "Stay with me here, because what happens next is the part nobody saw coming. Would you have broken cover and revealed a classified call sign to save hundreds of strangers?" She slid into the left seat like she had never left one. The airplane was still descending, still fighting. She took the controls, felt the heavy, uneven pressure in the yoke, and began talking in the same quiet voice she had used on the radio years earlier. "Tower, this is Spectre. I have the aircraft. Declaring emergency. Request vectors for the nearest suitable runway and scramble whatever fighters you have in the area. We're going to need an escort." The right aileron failed exactly when she said it would. The airplane rolled hard. She corrected with differential thrust and rudder, hands steady, eyes scanning the panel the way only someone who had lived in a cockpit could. The cabin behind her had gone silent except for the sound of people praying. A second crisis hit when the remaining hydraulic fluid dropped below critical. The landing gear would not extend normally. She talked the first officer through the alternate extension while she held the airplane level with pure muscle and throttle. Sweat ran down her temple. The backpack under the seat in the cabin still held the faded squadron patch she never showed anyone. Outside, 2 F-22s appeared off the left wing, lights flashing. The lead pilot's voice came over the radio, sharp with disbelief. "Tower, confirm call sign of the airliner. Did she say Spectre?" "Affirmative." There was a pause. Then the fighter pilot's voice softened into something close to reverence. "Spectre, we thought you were gone. We have you. Lead the way." She brought the airplane in low and slow, flaps partial, gear down and locked at the last possible moment. The landing was hard. The right main gear collapsed on touchdown. Sparks and smoke trailed behind them as the airplane skidded, but it stayed on the runway. When it finally stopped, the only sound in the cockpit was the quiet rush of her breathing. Paramedics and fire crews swarmed the aircraft. The captain stood in the doorway looking at her like he was seeing a ghost. The first officer could not meet her eyes. Outside, the 2 F-22s made a slow, low pass, wingtips nearly touching, a silent salute. On the radio, the tower controller's voice was steady again. "Spectre, welcome home." She walked back into the cabin one last time, retrieved the old backpack from under seat 9C, and stepped off the airplane into the cold night air. The squadron patch was still inside, folded carefully, where no one else would ever see it. Somewhere behind her, the fighters were already climbing back into the dark, and the story of the quiet girl in 9C was already beginning to travel.